In retrospect, I probably used the title song too many times, but I fell in love with it.
Hello, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Live Through That. Last week, we had Jimmy Podrosky from the Rave Ups on the podcast, where he talked about the fact that his band songs never made it onto the soundtrack to Pretty in Pink, even though the two songs featured prominently in the film. I had reached out to the director of the movie, Howard Deutch, to see if he had any insight into the omission. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, go back and have a listen to hear that whole story. I had a great conversation with Howard, and I wanted to share some other parts of our conversation with you. This episode is a little different from our usual format, but I'm guessing if you're listening to this podcast, you'll like this bonus episode. The soundtrack to Pretty in Pink is one of the great soundtracks of the 80s, with songs from the Psychedelic Furs, In Excess, Suzanne Vega, and others. It seems fitting to start with what was Howard's favorite musical moment from the film.
Yeah, I love the New Order Elegia music moment when Andrew McCarthy has to confess, or when Molly Ringwald confronts Andrew in the hallway. But the thing about Elegia is, it was why I remember it so well. I remember I was shooting, and John, who was a huge New Order fan, and was getting access to their music before anyone in the United States, because he had a connection in England sending him stuff. And then he played it for me. He had seen a cut of the scene, and he played it for me up against the scene. And I said, how do I feel about it? And I just, I thought it was amazing, because it's acted as score, even though it was source, even though, it was not composed for the movie. It just felt like it elevated the scene emotionally and had tension and originality to it.
Howard's initial instinct was to utilize the score written by Michael Gore as the bulk of the movie soundtrack. The fact that this song from New Order is one of his favorite moments definitely fits into that format. So how did it come around?
Well, it's funny. Initially, at our first test screening, a lot of it was about the music, because I said I wanted to start the movie with the composition that Michael Gore theme, the love theme. And John wanted to start with Pretty in Pink by the Furs. And so Ned Tannen, the head of Paramount, said, well, let's just have a bake-off. We'll run it both ways and see which feels like it works the best with the audience. And John was right, and we went with Pretty in Pink. In retrospect, I probably used the title song too many times, but I fell in love with it. And it was a remix that John had done, because the original is much more raw.
Pretty in Pink was Howard's directorial debut, obviously a pivotal moment in his career. So how did he become the director?
I had been making music videos, and John, I had a company that also made movie trailers, and we made the trailer for John's 16 Candles, and we met and liked each other. And he needed a music video, so I did the music video, directed for 16 Candles. And I didn't use any film footage. I just, shot my own stuff so that it looked like, hey, I could direct. And in fact, they liked it. And Ned Tannen from Paramount also liked it. And then John, we'd also done the trailer for Breakfast Club. And so he was looking for somebody for him to start to produce. And he had this script, and he sent me 2 scripts. He gave me the opportunity to do either Pretty in Pink or another script called The New Kid. And I said, I love Pretty in Pink. And that's how it started. I was a huge fan of his writing. And I loved Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. And I did like the script. Not that I knew anything. I just knew it moved me, made me cry and laugh. And that's the kind of stuff, that's the fundamental basics that I've learned you should listen to. I was just lucky that I, trusted my instinct. And so it was a huge break.
One of the most memorable moments in the film is when John Cryer's character, Ducky, lip syncs to Otis Redding's classic Try a Little Tenderness. It could have been a lot different, though.
John Cryer, for instance, was lobbying to do Start Me Up, the Rolling Stones song. But what happened is in the script, there was an indication that he came into the record store and there was some music playing. And I had been doing music videos. So it occurred to me like there was an opportunity for more of a moment to be made. And so I pitched it and John liked it. And we carved out some time in the day to just do it. And I got Kenny Ortega, who I had worked with in music videos and a Billy Joel video, to do the choreography. And, it worked.
Annie Potts is the movie's secret weapon, and, dare I say it, I think maybe she should have earned an Oscar nomination for this role at the very least.
And that was the first scene we shot. Annie Potts in the window of the record store. It was the very first scene we shot. And she improv'd, applause, applause, applause. She started to clap looking at her handiwork in the window. And I worked with her recently and I reminded her that she's amazing and just such an underrated talent. She's just a genius, frankly, and she could do anything. So I was really lucky to have her on board. And I remembered seeing her in a movie we'd done the trailer for called Corvette Summer. And that's when I pitched her to John, and he then, agreed. And that's how she got the part.
One of the great things about John Hughes movies is the way he creates characters that every high schooler could relate to. The brain, the athlete, the basket case, the princess, the criminal. In my head, I always had the Ducky character pegged as the kid in the closet acting how he thinks a heterosexual teen boy should be acting. I may have a little experience with that. Anyway, I was interested in hearing Howard's take on that.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. I've heard it many, many, many times. But I think John chose to play that character, with those values. And that's why a movie worked. He was, life didn't work for him without Molly, as the character, and without Andy. And he was, remember the scene, there was a great scene John wrote where he said, what was the line? I live for you and I can't live for you anymore, or something to that effect, he everything about his choices, as far as I was concerned, were a gift. And so, no, I don't. And if he was, people who say if that's how they feel, that's okay. It doesn't, it doesn't make the movie not work. But I don't feel that way.
Thank you so much to director Howard Deutch for taking the time to talk with me. It was a real honor. Right now, he's working on getting a new film off the ground called Lucy Boomer with Shirley MacLaine, so be on the lookout for that. And a friendly reminder that you can still buy my book, Live Through That, on 90s Artist and get 15% off using the promo code PODCAST15 by ordering at the link on the podcast page. In addition, my earlier book, 80s Redux, is available wherever you buy your books. And if you like this show, please subscribe so you'll know when the latest episode comes out. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Mike Hipple Photo, all one word. Thanks for listening.